Like this. You can already see. See, you can already, your iris already sees all those different multiple shades of colors, which is awesome. It just means that light's hitting it this way, and light's hitting it this way, and light's hitting it that way, and light's hitting it this way, and light's hitting it that way. And it just gives you this ability to sort of go, hey, there's light, it's multifaceted color, something's going on in that painting. It's not just flat, it has some life. And that's really the main goal here. So again, we're going to do my dots. We're going to try to do them, like I said, in between the other dots as much as possible. Like I said, we're not going for perfection. We don't care that the other dots aren't real dots. We don't care if they look like smudges. We don't care if they overlap. But the idea is that because you want this impression of packed in snow, really you want to go in between the browns, because you're trying to cover up the majority of brown so that the brown then becomes the new dot in between this faceted color system of different hues of white using grays and blues. Some people paint upwards. I realize that I'm not painting on an easel facing straight. I'm painting horizontally. I like to paint on a surface directly down. And everyone has their own style of doing that, and I've always worked with that way. Sometimes you will see me pick up the painting and put it against the wall and and paint that way. You will see me at times do that. It's very seldom that you'll see me do that. My style of painting, I'm always usually painting in this direction, with the painting flat in the ground. And this is one way to ensure that you get the right spot. Sometimes if you paint the other way, you end up making more mistakes. It just depends on who you are and how your hand coordination is. I like to rest my hand on my painting. Very gently, of course. But that's how I paint. I like resting my hand and my arm on my painting. Now, in between coats of these dots, I have been waiting about, 10-15 minutes, probably. That's how long these breaks have been. You want to give yourself time in between stuff. You need time for yourself to breathe and think. You need time to view the painting from a distance. You need to see if this idea is working for you. You may look at your painting and, depending on your outcome, find this was not the way you wanted it to be done, or that the color hue you chose was not a good enough shade and needed to be brighter or darker. At that point, you would just either go over top of it, or you would do what's called an erasing method. But in this particular case, you wouldn't need to use an erasing method because it's just all dots. You would just simply go over top with a brighter or darker color, and thus you would eventually just, with enough saturation of the new hue that you chose, the old hue would just be, it would disappear to the iris of your audience. So the trick is to make it look like it's packed snow, is to actually go in between randomly. You want to put a whole bunch of the same color together, but that's not to say that sometimes you want to put a couple dots together of the same hue. It just means you want to be sporadic, so you want to be able to leave some brown, some room for new dots of new color. Remember, I'm still going to add pure white hue to that. And look, it already looks packed, way more packed than it did at the beginning of our session. Look at the one next to it, not even close. It looks like it's double. This tree looks double in the amount of packedness than this one does. Remember, you always want to go in between. Because what you're trying to do is blend away the brown and make the brown on the tree trunk We're pretending that it is now the dot. So that there's very few tree trunk area to see in the area where the snow is packing. It's a very tedious job doing it this way, but the outcome is amazing. These prints are going to look dynamite because they'll have a contrast of primitive art, which is my style. They'll have a realism because it is a realistic scene. But on top of that, it'll actually have the extra bits it needs to give it a little bit more of a artistic flair. The nice thing about having the dot system is that you actually get some raised pieces. It's not a flat linear piece. You can actually run your hands over this and feel the different layers of paint creating these dots, which, if you're the owner of this painting, is sometimes nice to do with your paintings, to feel what the artist is feeling. You can feel it directly just by touching the painting. It's quite amazing. People forget that. Once you own this, you can touch it and feel it. And that'll help you to get more feel for what the artist is trying to convey. So now, see, I wouldn't do that one. So we just did this one and this one. Now we're going to move on to this one. Because remember, these five really, 1, 2, 3, 4,